I'm not asking you to save me, might just feed her. One night seam, that's all I have left to offer.
The wasteland smelled like ash and forgotten prayers. Cale crouched near the outer fence of Sector 7. His boots sinking into cracked gray earth as the last sliver of sun bled orange across the ruined skyline. He had seen a lot of broken things in this world. Collapsed bridges, burned cities, hollow-eyed men who had traded everything for one more day. But nothing had prepared him for what he found beside the eastern gate that evening. She was kneeling in the dirt. Her name, he would later learn, was Seraphine. But in that first moment, she was simply a woman, pale as moonstone, her silver-white hair tangled with mud and wind, her body wrapped in torn fabric that barely covered her. Bruises mapped her skin like a dark constellation. Her eyes, when they lifted to meet his, were the color of deep water, gray-green and exhausted, holding a grief so old it had calcified into something almost dignified. Beside her clung a small girl, no older than 4, with the same pale hair and wide, frightened eyes. The child pressed her face against Seraphine's arm, trembling like a sparrow in a storm. Cale's hand moved to his weapon, old habit. Then stop. Please. The word came out cracked like it cost her everything. Seraphine extended one hand toward him, palm up, the gesture somehow both a plea and an offering. Her jaw was set hard, her chin lifted with the last shreds of pride she still owned. "I'm not asking for charity," she said, her voice low, steady despite the shaking of her fingers. "One night. Just one night with me. That's what I'm offering. In exchange. Feed my daughter. That's all I want. Feed her. She hasn't eaten in 2 days." The silence that followed was enormous. Cale stared at her. Then at the little girl, who was staring back at him with huge, solemn eyes, clutching a torn piece of cloth to her chest like it was a stuffed animal. Something moved inside his chest. Not desire, not pity. Something older. Something that had been sleeping for a long time. He crouched down slowly, bringing himself to eye level with the child. "What's her name?" he asked quietly. Seraphine blinked, clearly not expecting that question. "Lena," she whispered. "Hi, Lena," Cale said. The little girl stared at him for a long moment. Then, very cautiously, she held out her torn piece of cloth toward him, an offering, a test, a tiny act of trust. Cale accepted it gently with both hands, as if it were made of glass. He looked at it, nodded seriously, and handed it back. "That's a very important thing," he said. "You should keep it safe." Lena pulled it back against her chest and hid her face again. But she didn't cry. Cale stood and looked at Seraphine. Her expression had shifted, cracked open just slightly, confusion and wariness mixing with something rawer underneath. "Come with me," he said. "I told you what I'm offering," she said carefully, her voice hardening again. "I'm not looking for." "I heard what you said," Cale interrupted, not unkindly. "Come anyway." He brought them inside the compound, a reclaimed warehouse district that Cale and a small group of survivors had spent 3 years rebuilding into something resembling safety. There were walls, real ones, reinforced with salvaged steel. There were fires in barrels and the smell of actual food. Broth, bread baking on flat stones, the impossible luxury of warmth. Seraphine moved through it, all like a woman walking through a dream she didn't trust. Her eyes tracked every exit, every face, every potential threat. Lena had gone completely silent, overwhelmed. Her small hand locked around 2 of Seraphine's fingers. Cale led them to a side room, private, clean, with a cot and blankets and a basin of warm water. He left and returned with food. A bowl of thick stew, bread, dried fruit, a cup of something warm and sweet for Lena. He set it on the table. Step back. Seraphine didn't move. She was watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read, waiting for the condition, the catch, the cost. "Eat," he said simply. "And then what?" Her voice was flat, braced. "And then nothing," Cale said. "Eat. Sleep. Both of you. I told you what I could give. I don't want it." The words landed like a stone dropped into still water. Seraphine flinched, not away from fear, but from something more complicated. From the disorientation of being offered something without being asked for anything in return. "Why?" she asked. The word barely made it out. Cale looked at Lena, who had finally allowed herself to look at the food. Her small nostrils flaring, her body leaning forward with a hunger so pure and helpless it was almost unbearable to witness. "Because she's hungry," he said. "That's reason enough." Seraphine fed Lena first. Every bite, every sip, watching the color slowly return to her daughter's cheeks like sunrise after an endless night. Lena ate with the focused seriousness of a child who had learned not to take food for granted, and when she finished, she leaned against her mother's side and closed her eyes. Asleep in minutes, Seraphine stayed awake. She sat with Lena's sleeping weight against her and stared at the wall and didn't speak for a long time. Cale had settled across the room on the floor, back against the wall, giving them space. Not leaving but not crowding. Finally she spoke. "We were on our own for 8 months, she said quietly. "After the settlement fell. It was just us. I did what I had to." "I know," Cale said. "I'm not ashamed." "You shouldn't be." Another long silence. Outside, the compound was quieting for the night. Voices fading, fires settling into embers. "What do you want from us?" Seraphine asked. "Not hostile anymore. Just honest. Tired and honest." "Nothing," Cale said. Then reconsidered. "Actually, maybe one thing." She stiffened slightly. "Stay," he said. "Not for me. For her. For both of you. This place, we built it so people don't have to make the kind of offer you made tonight. You don't have to do that here. No one does." Seraphine looked down at Lena's sleeping face, at the soft, steady rise and fall of her small chest, at the way her fingers had finally unclenched from the torn piece of cloth, relaxed in sleep for the first time in God knew how long. When she looked back up, her eyes were bright. Not crying, she was past crying. But something in her had shifted, permanently, like tectonic plates resettling. "Okay," she said softly. "We'll stay." In the morning, Lena woke before her mother and sat up to find Cale still there, awake, watching the door. She looked at him. He looked at her. She held out her torn piece of cloth.